Hello, this is Harvest back at it again with another Arena AFK Journey PvP video. This time I'm going to cover offense, how to win on offense, because last time I covered defense. Now, as I mentioned in the last video, offense is a lot harder to give you general tips about because you have pretty much hundreds of different opponents with hundreds and thousands of different lineups, making it very difficult to give you a general tactic that will win all the time against all your opponents. But hopefully today I will give you some tips and tricks you can use on your climb on the arena ladder to help you do better, to win more often on your attacks. Yesterday I had a really horrible time with my attacks. I lost 6 attacks, which was really devastating and really demoralizing. And so I just thought that I'd mention that because even though I am ranked pretty high, you can see here I actually lost 6 attacks in a row, and I picked all these opponents because I thought that I had a better than 70% chance of winning, and I lost each and every single one of them. And so sometimes this happens, and if this happens to you, I'd say that you shouldn't really look at the outcome in terms of 6 losses in a row. Think instead about what you can learn. And so I've reviewed all 6 of these losses and tried to isolate where I could have done better, why the opponent was able to win even though I thought that they were much weaker than my offense. And so I'll go over some of the replays to go over some of my past mistakes, because of course nobody's perfect, and it's not useful to show you 10 out of 10 perfect attacks, especially with units you don't have. Instead, I'm going to try to go over, like I did with defense, some of my losses and also some of my wins as a way to explain how to think about offense and PvP in general in AFK Journey. So let's see how things go. Currently I'm ranked 16. It's been very hard to climb with a very low powered account. My account's power right now is 16 million, whereas pretty much every single person in the top 50 have an account power that is far greater than mine. And when you look at the top 20, each of these 20 people, besides myself, have way more power than I do. So the lowest person on this list, which is Kuro Alter here, he or she has 29 million power, which is almost 15 million more than I have on my account. So there is a huge gap between me and the top 20 as a result. And so I have to pick my attacks really carefully, because if I don't, I'm going to lose all of my attacks against much more powerful opponents that have spent a lot more money than I have on the game. So let's see how we do. So a big part of attacking is, of course, picking the right opponent. Now, when you first start out, you might be tempted to always pick the opponent on the left, which will be the weaker opponent in terms of rating compared to you. But it's not always a good idea to attack the lower rated player, because if you lose, you're going to lose a lot of points, and if you win, you gain very little points in relation to someone who is more at your rating or someone rated higher than you. Okay, and so I think at the start it's okay to always pick on the lower rated opponent, because you're learning the game, you're learning your matchups and seeing what your team can do versus other teams. And so as a learning process and to build some confidence, I think it's a good idea. But over time, I want you to focus more on similar rated opponents. And then when you get more advanced, more knowledgeable about the game and your matchups, always attack higher rated opponents so that you get maximum points. And also, if you lose against higher rated opponents, you lose a lot less points than you normally would, right? And so I recommend always hitting the higher rated opponent. I'm not going to do that consistently during this breakdown, because I'm recording a video, and also I am already near the top, so I'm ranked 16. So, and as I mentioned already, everyone that's rated above and below me in the top 50 has something like 10 million more power than I do. So I'm going to pick my opponents very carefully. Earl Grey is someone that attacks me very often and loses very often. I also attack them a fair bit as well because I think I can beat them pretty consistently. Their lineup right now has a Reinier, which is really weak on defense. So this is a tempting target right now. But as you can see, they have a really huge power lead at 722k. I only have 580k. And so it would be... I think I lost an attack against Earl yesterday. Let me actually check that. No, I actually didn't attack Earl yesterday. So I might indeed attack Earl because they've been attacking me every day, but they've been losing pretty much every single attack. But because I don't like it when people attack me multiple times, I want to let them know what's up and attack them back if I can win consistently. So this is a really tempting target because they have a Reinier, which is really weak on defense but really powerful on offense. Still, it can be a bit of a hassle to deal with. Earl also has a really big level advantage at 163. I'm at, I think, 159 across the board. They also have 3 Supreme Pluses, and I only have 2. They have multiple 3-star units. I only have 1, which is my Aaron. But I have beaten the Florabelle Cecia combination countless, probably hundreds of times on my way up the ladder. This is one of the most common compositions you'll find, so I am tempted to attack Earl. Here we have this Japanese name. I have no idea what that says. A very similar setup. I'm not going to attack them because they have 2 healers, and I believe I have lost on my attacks against them before. And also they're higher leveled actually than Earl is, although they have lower overall power at 673. But you shouldn't really pay that much attention to what it says in terms of power level, because over time you'll learn the power level of units, and this number by itself is not going to really help you decide that someone brought a weak team or not. So Earl is really tempting, but I'm going to refresh and see if I can get something better. Renexus always attacks me, but they always lose. But I can't break their defense either because his units are just so upgraded. So I'm not going to attack them. Reinier I've attacked, but they are extremely powerful. They've spent a lot of money on this game. They have already 4 Paragon units. That's what these purple things are. There's no chance I'm going to attack them, even though I can easily beat them on the defense. Entropy, I failed in my attack yesterday, but I think I am pretty confident I can beat them. I'm going to attack them because I want to see if I can beat them, because I failed my attack surprisingly yesterday. And the reason I'm attacking them now is because they have a Reinier on defense, which is a very weak unit. They also have Nero, which is an unusual pick, but at Supreme Plus, he is a threat because he keeps 1 unit alive. And so, although it looks like the opponent has no healers, Reinier with a swap and Nero is also a type of healer. So I think I'm just going to go with my attack on Entropy because I want to see if I can crack this nut and see if I can win against him, even though I lost yesterday. To see if I can just outmatch them. So what do we have here? So one of the reasons why Reinier is really weak is I can basically arrange my units in a way where his Reinier has no effect. So currently Reinier is not swapping anybody, so I'm really happy about attacking this player. His Nero is also targeting Reinier, which is not ideal because you have 2 DPS units, your Cecia and Florabelle, that you would rather protect. Why protect Reinier with a resurrection, right? It doesn't make any sense. And so I'm going to see if I can punish this player for making a weird defense. I just noticed that one of my units is a little under leveled, so I have a Corrin in my lineup, so I'm gonna switch that out and then go back to the arena. There's not much time before server resets, so I'm gonna try to speed things up. Let's see here. What? I'm gonna go with this and see what happens. If I don't catch something, because I'm in a bit of a time crunch, I'm gonna record the video, try to do some commentary live, and then do more commentary post-production so that I can focus on what's happening after the fact. Looks like I will win easily. So I don't know why I lost yesterday against this lineup. I did move my Aeron slightly to the center to distract the enemy Thorin, because one of the ways I can lose that is if the Thorin comes all the way up to where my mages are and gets a lucky retaliation on my mages, right? I believe that's how I lost yesterday. So there's no way I'm going to attack the number 2 rated player. They're just way too strong for me, so there's no point in me attacking. Kuro has 2 units that are kind of weak on defense, Smokey as well as Vala, but they're all very heavily invested. So this might not be a good idea, but I'm going to take a peek at what their defense looks like before I decide to commit. And a lot of people don't know that you can do that. You can actually go inside, challenge them, and then back out if you don't like what you see. So they picked the asymmetrical map. So their Smokey is safe from a swap. So this opponent knows a little bit about what they're doing. So I'm not going to attack them. This is not an easy target with those highly ascended multiple X weapon unit setup. It's just not worth it for me. So I'm going to back out of that. I'm going to refresh. Cecia is someone that I attacked yesterday but failed. And again, they have a Reinier on defense, which is really weak. I'm going to attack them and see if I can win this time. I don't recall why I lost yesterday. Maybe when I do my replay review, I'll try to remember this player and go in detail. Hopefully I'll win, though, so that there can be a contrast between my loss yesterday versus hopefully a win today. So I'm going to move back slightly, and I'm going to put my... actually, I'm going to put my Carolina on the left side so that she has no chance of being one-shot by Thorin and his retaliation. I think that's a lot better, actually, than the center. I also don't... Oh... I am also going to pick the confining spell because I just want a small advantage of stunning one of their units. Or do I go with the confining spell or the enlightening spell? I think I'm going to go with this because it's going to be hard for my Carolina to get the enlightening spell buff because it's going to be hard to make her the last rearmost unit with her being on this left side very forward. So I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this so that I'm going to put Aeron slightly to the right so that this Thorin doesn't has a less chance of one-shotting my Carolina across the fence with his retaliation. And hopefully this will work. let's do it. I'm liking this position. Their Thorin is stuck inside this circle here. But their Cecia is, their Mr. Carlisle is directly attacking my Carolina, which is not good. My Carolina is down. Their Flora is down, so it looks like a win here. Yes, that was pretty close. Even though a lot of my units are alive, that was pretty close. Because whenever your main DPS goes down, that's a really bad thing. You don't want that to happen, of course. So on to the next one. This guy, I believe I have attacked before, but their units are just so highly ascended. Even though it's a weird lineup, I just don't feel good about attacking into that. Cecia is up again, so I'm going to attack them again, because they're a similar rating. Souls is also someone I can attack, because they're higher rated than me, and they have a Reinier on defense, which is weird, but they have 3 really big DPS units, and Thorin also, so I'm going to kind of go for the easy win here and go for this. I'm going to use the same setup. There's no sense in changing something that worked, right? So I'm going to do that. The key thing here is to kill the Cecia and the Coco, because the Coco shield can really be backbreaking if it goes off. There we go. An easy win there. Much easier than the first one, because my Thorin one-shot his entire team. That's the advantage of using positioning to get your win. This guy, I'm going to skip him because he has double healer, and I don't like taking unnecessary risks. Darkness. Darkness has also a pretty tanky lineup with basically 3 healers if you include Granny as a healer, a highly invested Florabelle, and a Reinier, which is basically a dead unit on defense. I'm gonna see if I can win against Darkness, depending on the map. So because this person has only 1 DPS, it's actually a good idea to use my Reinier against their Florabelle. But Granny is quite a dangerous unit in PvP against Graveborn especially. So I'm not gonna... I don't consider this necessarily an easy win. You know, I'm gonna take it very seriously. And I'm gonna show you the Reinier swap technique. I think this is a good opportunity. So I have my Carolina all the way in the back because I want her to receive my Enlightening spell, and she gets immunity to control as a result. And so when my Reinier swaps the opponent's Florabelle, Florabelle will come to me, but my Carolina will not go to their side. So that gives me an obvious advantage. And I have Odie here instead of Arden because Odie is a great single target. And is also strong against Wilders. And so there are 2 Wilder units, or 2 Wilder units here basically, because you can't attack Damien. And so I think this is a pretty good lineup as a result. I think Granny though is a big threat, so I'm gonna put Irion like right in front of Granny, because I know that she will melt my Thorin. Let me see if I can, yeah. Yeah, so their Flora is on my side. My Odie should kill the Flora. And it should be a win, but I lost, I think, the last time I attacked them. Yeah, looks like an easy win here. So that's the Reinier swap technique. That's why you never run one DPS because generally, basically, one DPS can never be supported enough to do enough damage to wipe out an entire team. And so you should always try to have multiple win conditions. Sometimes you might even take out your healer and put in an extra DPS just so that you threaten to wipe out the entire team. And that can actually be more effective than playing defensively with support units. So I'm in a really good winning streak. I think I've won every single attack, and it hasn't really been that close. So I'm pretty happy. But again, the big thing is that I'm actually learning from yesterday's failures. So that makes me even more happier, actually. So Leonid, I lost against him yesterday, even though I thought I had a very good lineup. They have a really strong Odie, but a Reinier who's pretty much dead on defense. And a kind of a weak Coco without her Mythic Plus ability. So I'm going to see if I can win against him, even though I lost miserably against Leonid yesterday when I should have won. So it's a bit risky because, you know, emotionally you don't want to lose against someone you should win against. Like it always feels bad, but I'm going to do it for science and because I know that I can win and that I should win, right? I'm confident. So there's also no shame in learning from your mistakes. This guy has one DPS, which is a dangerous one in Odie, but they have a Reinier on defense and a weak Coco. So I like my chances here. I may even get rid of Damien and swap in Reinier because I want to swap their Odie in. So they have their Reinier set up to swap their Odie. I don't think there's a way I can avoid that. I want to target their Odie, but they have a Reinier set up so that it counters my swap. So it's not worth trying to swap him. So should I bring Damien or should I bring my own Odie here? I like Damien because he can blind, he can give my party haste, which helps me burn down the Odie before the Odie is a threat. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to keep Carolina on that side and Thorin because I like how this is working. It gives me a direct path into the enemy backline, which is very exposed. I want to occupy their Thorin. Oh, but they have an Irian too, so my positioning here is not going to matter too much because of their Irian. So let's see, I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to hope that this is enough for me to win. Oh, my Thorin made it to the other side, but he's going to get gunned down by the Odie, so I just need to be able to blast the Odie. And there he goes. Yeah, so I lost miserably yesterday. We're going to review that replay, the one that I won and the one that I lost, and then compare them, because I use the same exact units, so there's really no reason for me to lose or win. Entropy, I believe I attacked them already, so I already forgot. Yeah, I won. This is the weird Niru setup, right? There's not much time left, so I'm gonna just send the attacks in. Yeah, this is the weird Niru on Reinier setup, so I'm just gonna attack. Try to get my last attacks in because there's only about a minute left. And that's another tip I have for you. if you're trying to climb the ladder, try to attack closer reset. That way, if you rank up in ladder, you'll get the rank up rewards guaranteed when it resets. Yeah, so an easy win here. Sometimes that happens. I mean, I lost yesterday, and I'm just smashing the same players today. So again, don't be so focused on yesterday's losses. Just focus on what you can do today. A lot of high-powered people that I really don't want to attack. I don't know if I have attacked Darkness yet. Oh yes, this is the setup with the swap. Yeah, so I'm going to do that again. This is the problem with the 1 DPS setup. As soon as the DPS is gone, there are no real threats, so... relatively smooth. It took a while, but it was smooth. Alright, so I believe I'm all out. Yes, so there's no point in me paying gems because I'm already in the top 20. There's no chance I'm going to make the top 5 right now, so there's no point in me pushing up the ranks. So today was a perfect day. Yesterday I had a horrible losing streak, but you know, today is a lot better. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attacks. All against players that are at or above my rating. I believe all of my attacks today were against people at my rating, not lower. And as a result, I get 10, 9, 8 points a shot for each victory. And so I'm not going to review the wins. You already saw like how I thought and my positioning and the logic behind my attack and why I picked that opponent. Now I'm going to go over my failed attacks from yesterday on some of the same people that I won against today. So I'm going to look out for Darkness, Entropy, Leonid, and Cecia to sort of try to pinpoint why I lost yesterday and why I won today. So here I can already see 2 horrible losses, one against Leonid and the other against Entropy. I lost a lot of points, 12, 13, and these are players that I think are a lot weaker than I am. And I don't mean that like in an insulting way. I just mean that from like their composition, the units that they pick with like the Reinier on defense. I know for sure I should win these 100% of the time, but for whatever reason, I had a horrible loss against Leonid and Entropy. And so let's take a look at that. So I'm going to go with Leonid first because he is the weaker opponent. So looking at the review, it looks like my Carolina didn't do her usual best to do a lot of damage at only 500k. Their Odie popped off at 1.6 million. And also their Reinier got a lot of healing off. And that should not be possible when you can control who Reinier swaps on the defense. So let's take a look at the replay. Let's slow it down and see what happens here. Okay, so I swapped their Odie. And that makes sense because Odie is their 1 DPS. But this Odie is like really tanky. Probably because it's being healed by the Reinier. It's also receiving a shield from Coco, or the damage reduction, so it makes him really tanky, and so that's how they won. Really bad loss on my part. I'm gonna replay that again. I wish there was a pause button, but there isn't, because if I pause, this big thing comes up and it's in the way, right? I wanna take a look at the starting position of my units and then compare to what it was today. So let's take a look. My Carolina and Thorin are in the usual middle tile position. But I believe today I placed them on the left side where the fence is. Because the enemy has a Thorin that can easily one-shot my entire team if I'm not careful. Yeah, so let's take a look at my victory today, which I believe I won very easily. So I lost that yesterday against the same setup, same opponent. Today I use the same setup and I win easily, just because I moved my units. Yeah, so my Thorin and Carolina are on the left side, away from their Thorin. And I noticed that I did not try to swap their Odie. Because their Odie is like all the way here in the back. And their Odie is actually being stun locked by my confining spell. So that is really, limiting its ability to dish out damage, because this is a single DPS setup. So if your single DPS is stun locked because of an artifact, you're doing 0 damage, right? So that was basically what decided my win here very easily. Let's review Entropy. So I had another horrible loss against Entropy the other day. So let's see what happened. So it looks like Carolina did do a lot of damage. But I can see here that Reinier did a lot of healing, and again, that's a mistake. It should not be possible for a defensive Reinier to heal that much. And then their Niru did a lot of work. I don't know how, but their Niru did 2 million in healing, 3 million in tanking, and almost 1 million in damage just from a support unit. So something weird happened on this attack. And I guess that's why I was so upset with this loss, right? I think I should have won, and then I lost somehow. Yeah, and this person's setup is exactly the same today, so it's going to be really interesting to compare. So my Aaron goes down really early. Their Cecia goes down, gets their Carlisle down. My Carolina is really low, taking a ton of damage. Yeah, really weird loss here. Let me replay that again. Because even at like normal 1x speed, it's like really hard to tell sometimes like what is going on, right? So where is this guy? Okay, here. So I placed my units more on the left side of this fence because I don't want that Thorin to one-shot my team. And I like the spacing here. My Thorin is well ahead. Their Thorin is tucked back there. My Carolina is not receiving any damage. It's all Arden and my Damien cart. And of course Thorin receiving all the damage. Yeah, but then I just lose. Can't explain it. That's why I was so surprised with the loss. Let's take a look at my win and see what happened. So here my Carolina did a lot more damage, about 1 million more. Their Reinier still got off a lot of healing, but not more than 1 million. Their Niru didn't do nearly enough work, doing about the same as their Reinier, right? The opponent's DPSs did almost nothing. The Cecia did almost nothing. Their Florabelle did some work. So my units are here on the left. The only difference is that my Irian is all the way on the right to intercept the enemy Thorin and to allow my Thorin to wrap around the enemy's flank. So this opponent is flanked on 2 sides. That's why they're losing. Because the AI is not smart enough to focus on one unit. It's going to split its focus against two tanky units, my Aryan and my Thorin. So their Reinier warps my Carolina away, but my Thorin just one-shots the entire team. So no Carolina needed. That's how I win that time. So again, the difference was that my Aryan was placed on the right-hand side near the enemy Thorin. My Thorin was placed all the way up top with my Carolina, allowing him to flank towards the back line of the enemy, causing me to win that very easily. And so that's sometimes the only difference there is, right? You change one unit's position, in this case Aryan's, and the outcome is completely different. So I know it's frustrating when you attack and you think you should win and you lose, but I hope you learned a few things about learning from my own failures, my own failed attacks, and my wins today, right? And basically the importance of positioning, analyzing your replays, trying to understand why you lose. Because yes, sometimes you're going to lose to RNG, sometimes you're going to lose to somebody's bigger wallet, right? But that's not really that important. There's nothing you can do about that besides using your own wallet to beat someone else's wallet, right? But when it comes to preventable losses, doing replay analysis, looking at the battle report, trying to actually understand what happened can give you an edge on the attack as well as on the defense. So that was it for attacking. Thanks for your attention. If you like what you see, feel free to comment. If you have any questions, feel free to message me in-game or comment on the YouTube channel or video, and I will get back to you. I love talking about AFK Journey. It's really addicting, and I really love the relative fairness of the PvP. Even though the whales can beat me 100% of the time, as you can see, I'm in the top 15 players with a 10 million power differential. And that's largely because I pulled the right units and because I adapt my attack and my defense to win as much as possible. And that's what's led me here up to this moment. So thanks a lot for your attention. See you around and take care.